Hi all, ACDodd here again and welcome to another episode of On the Road Tuning with me, ACDodd. And this time I've got some snippets of a tuning weekend with the Essex Mini Club. And I've also got two tunes from Wales. So let's dig in. Okay, first stop, Essex Mini Club. And we went down to DB Bodyworks and Dean, the owner there, kindly lent his workshop to us so we could have a number of cars there for the weekend. I was there for 2 days and I tuned quite a few cars. Unfortunately, I was so busy that I didn't manage to get all the footage that I would require for every single car, but I got a couple, so here they are. So here we are, Brentwood, Essex. First car up for the tuning weekend. It's this little road racer. All decked out for racing, but road legal. Then under the bonnet, we've got a standard 1275 A plus. So the owner tells me this one's just got a little bit flat lower down in the rev range, but other than that, it goes okay. So he doesn't want to be on film, which is absolutely fine. So I have a suspicion that this is not just flat low down, but it's probably flat everywhere. So let's get this dialed in and we'll see how it runs. Okay, so going through this one, got the right coil. Advanced curve is not quite right. It's the old Sprite distributor from the sort of mid-90s carb minis, and this is a Sprite engine, so it's got the HI38 carb. So we put a new set of leads on it because we had about 13k between the coil and the plug. We've now got about 3.5, which is excellent. So I've checked the timing. The timing's okay for today, but the advanced curve is a bit long, really. But today is all about getting the best out of these engines with what's fitted, really, because of the time. And then we move over to the carburettor, and it's got a treble A needle in it. This is the HI38 from the Sprite engine, which is disastrously overfueling. So we're in the 0.7 lambda at 2,000, and we're just about making it into the 8s at 3,000. So this is washing its rings out. So it's a good job it's in today. So let's rein that in and go from there. Okay, so we've got this one dialed in. In the end, very, 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 very extreme needle modifications. So I had to go all the way back to an AAC needle, which is a standard 998 needle, to get this lean enough at part throttle. And then I had to do some extensive modification. Okay, so this is the next car. This one has already been set up pretty much well by the owner. So it's got 0.8 ohm coil, it's got new power spark leads. The only thing I did to it was change the plugs because this was running very rich and it had already sooted the plugs up. It's got 65D dizzy. The advanced curve's a little bit slow. It's only got 2 degrees of advance at 2000 res on top of its base setting. So what we're going to do with that is after the tune, the customer's going to send me this dizzy or another one. We'll get it curved and then send it back to him. But for today, it's giving the right length of advance. It's just a bit slow off the mark. Then we turn our attention to the carburettor. Now this is a rebuilt carb. Everything's working fine on it, except the needle that was an AAU was very lean to the point where it was undrivable for the owner. So I changed it to an AAF, which was a little bit too rich. Then went to an AAE, tiny bit of modification. And we ended up with 2050 oil. I tried most of the oil grades in this one, but 2050 is where it needed to be. And yeah, this one's pretty good. So we'll let the owner go out in this one, see what he thinks. Okay. So that's it for the footage taken from the Essex Mini Club tuning weekend. Unfortunately, I was very, very busy tuning cars, so I didn't actually get a chance to take much footage. So apologies there. When I do these tuning days, I don't always have enough time, especially when they're booked in and we're doing quite a few in one day. So sometimes if anybody can help me there, that is appreciated. So at least I have some footage to edit and put into a video. Anyway, moving on, we are now off to Wales. So look at this lovely 1275 GT. We're down in Porthcawl today. Awesome car. Lovely condition. I like a nice standard one. And under the bonnet, I think we have a standard 1275. Let's go talk to the owner and find out why he's called us down and if it's got any mods. Okay, so this is Darren. Darren's the owner of this gorgeous 1275 GT. Why have you called us down today, Darren?
So it just runs lumpy. It won't start on the choke. You have to keep your foot on it, and then when it is ticking over, I've got an air fuel gauge in there, and it just won't hold a standard mix, so it's just constantly moving around. So get you down here, have a good look at it.
Okay, all right, cool. Are there any modifications to the engine?
As far as I know, it's a standard engine. It's got an unleaded head, and it's got a 0.2 oversized piston in it from some point, but that's as much as I know about it.
Okay, and I think it's running HI 44 carb, isn't it?
It's got here 44 carb, and it's got an electronic distributor.
Okay, all right. Well, let's dig in and see what we can find.
Cheers.
Okay, so got the plugs out of this GT. Yeah, initial impression, not too bad. Clearly it's not killing itself, which is good. So we shall dive further in and see how the rest of it's set up. Okay, so I'll confirm this has got a high power coil, 0.8 ohm coil. I think it's got Power Spark Dizzy, or certainly a Dizzy supplied by Mini Spares, because I think this was fitted by Thomas Classic and Modern. So I know what they generally fit. So that's the high energy pair, which is excellent. Put a new set of plugs in, because those ones, although look good, they've been in there a while. And then we'll pay attention to the ignition advance curve, and then we'll look at the carburetor. Okay, so digging into this Clubman, we find that it's already got a distributor in it, a new one, but I've got two here because there's my one on the left and the one that come out of the car on the right, and the difference is the advance curve. So in the engine, this was at 14 degrees static. When you revved to 2000, we only had 17, and a full advance was at 23. So it was a very poor advance curve in that one. Whereas opposed to this one, we'll get the full advance we need at the right RPM. So let's get this dialed in, and I'll update you with the figures we get off the new one. Okay, so ignition system's all good. Moving over to the carburetor, we have, it was a little bit lean at part throttle, so I've adjusted the needle. It had a BBA needle in it, which wasn't bad, and it's usually one of the needles I carry, so I've modified that slightly. It already had a drilled airbox, so I've just added a few extra holes, and the car is fitted with a wideband gauge, so the owner's been out and had a drive. We've determined the fueling just needs a touch more right at the very top end of the rev range at full load. So I'm just going to put a couple of thou on the needle right at the full power point, and then we can go out and test, and hopefully all is good. Okay, so I've got this one all working. In the end, the new distributor gave us 13 degrees at idle. We had 21 degrees at 1800 RPM. And then we're all in at 3800 at 30. So yeah, much better than the, I think we have 14, 17 and 23, I think, on the original. So that's why we changed the advance curve. Everything else is good. Needle wise, it had a BBA needle, which was actually not too bad. The airbox was drilled, so I drilled a few more holes in it. But I had to modify the needle right at the very top end of the rev range, and a little bit between 3,000 and 4,000 revs. But other than that, she's good to go. Okay, so we've finished the tune, in as much as the owner's been out for a test drive. We can now see the colour of these plugs has come up nice and white. So we've got the fueling under control, and all cylinders are pulling their weight. So we'll pop these back in, and then we're going to speak to the owner. Okay, so Darren's now been out for a drive in it after we've done all the work, and bearing in mind we actually went, because he's got an installed wideband gauge, we went out 3 times and modified the airbox some more, and then modified the needle 3 times at the top end to get it right, but we finally got there. So, What's it like?
It goes like stink. It pulls away. It's lovely. It's actually nice to drive now. I can actually see myself going out for a distance in it without worrying about is it gonna break down or whatever. So yeah, it's great.
Oh, excellent. All right. So Smoother,
Smoother.
more power.
Definitely.
Yeah, excellent. And obviously now, as you can see, you've got your own wideband. You can now see the fueling is within the ranges that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and I know what the wideband's telling me now.
Yeah.
Because it's been explained. So yeah, thank you.
That's all right, no problem at all. Would you recommend this to anyone else?
Definitely. Get on with it and just do it. Don't hesitate.
Okay, all right. Well, thanks very much, and thanks
Cheers.
for giving me the opportunity to work in your nice car.
Thanks.
Okay, next car, over to Chepstow. And this is an ex-race car turned into a road legal road car. So, nice little car, this one. Let's get stuck in. Okay, so road racer. Nice and stripped out. Just what you need for tearing up the lanes. Okay, so we've got a 1275 road racer for the next car. So this one, and I'll get some other footage so you can see it. It used to be a race car, and it's now been set up for the road, and it's got a nice standard-ish road engine. So my job is to get this one dialed in so it at least runs properly and does everything it should do. Okay, so first thing we notice on this one, although we've got power spark ignition coil, we've got all new plugs, the distributor's out because the advance curve is very poor. So it's basically static at 19 and it's all in at 28, and it's very slow to get there. So we're going to change the bottom half of the dizzy to keep the bill down, and that will certainly liven the engine up. So just so we can see the issue, if you look in that inside there, you'll see that says 6 degrees, so it's only delivering 6 degrees of distributor advance, and we've got a simultaneous spring assembly, so they're both operating at the same time, which basically means the advance is very slow to come in. So on the other hand, when we look at the other replacement dizzy, which is one of mine, it's got an extremely light spring on it, and it's also got a fairly light secondary spring, and this one's all in at 3850. Okay, so what we got with this engine is it had a BDL needle in it. We changed that to a BBA. Fueling's actually pretty good at part throttle all the way up, so I've just added a bit of fuel and progression and top end. So we'll pop this back in now and see what it runs like. Right, so we got this one all working. I changed the bottom half of the dizzy for a recurve unit, and we've now got 10 degrees. We've got 23 degrees at 2000 and 30 degrees at 3,850. So she's right on the money for a decent advance curve. We're not sure on the modifications on the cylinder head, so I've just made sure the needle's got a fair amount of fueling at the top end. Damper on this one, we was running 2050 oil, which was much too rich. So when we throttled it, so I've dropped that down to ATF, which is put it in the zone. Now the owner on this car has told me he wants power, so I've set this one up for be a little bit less economical, but more towards producing outright shove when you put your foot down. So what we're going to do now is let him go out in it and see what he thinks. Okay, so that's it for this episode of On the Road Tuning. Just to remind everybody that not everybody wants to go on film to tell the world how their car runs after I've tuned it. But I don't force anybody to, so it's up to them whether they want to do that or not. Some of them will comment underneath this video though, so be sure to watch for that. Anyway, as ever, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Thank you very much.